You're listening to the Cultivating Careers in Alternative Proteins podcast, a podcast which features students and early career professionals who work in the alternative protein industry, where they discuss their journeys and deliver advice on how you can start a career in this revolutionary field. I can't wait to share with you my conversation with this episode's guest, since he is a fellow Canadian and a self-taught expert in the field of cellular agriculture. Ahmed Khan is a cellular agriculture consultant and the creator of CellAgri, a news and research startup that aims to be a hub for the emerging field of cellular agriculture. He is also the co-founder and a member of the board of directors of Cellular Agriculture Canada, a non-profit organization advancing and promoting the cellular agriculture industry in Canada. Ahmed has a bachelor's degree in cell biology and anatomy from McGill University in Montreal, Canada. I am extremely honored to showcase his experience here. I hope you enjoy my conversation with him. Hello, Ahmed, and welcome to the Cultivating Careers in Alternative Proteins podcast. I am super excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
To start things off, I think it would be great if you could tell our listeners what CellAgri is and the type of work that you do there.
Absolutely. So my name is Ahmed Khan, and I am the founder and editor of CellAgri. CellAgri is a news and market insights platform focusing on the future of food with cell agriculture. While our focus is on the future of food space of cell agriculture, we do look at the wider ecosystem as well, from biomaterials and textiles to even plant cell culturing. And our definition of cell agriculture is what people look at as two different categories these days, the cell-based meat or cultivated meat sector, as well as what we call acellular agriculture, but it's also commonly known as precision fermentation these days. I started CellAgri back in 2017 when I first learned about the cell agriculture field and have been growing the platform to become one of the main platforms about cell agriculture. And back in 2020, I revamped CellAgri to become essentially a homepage for the wider cell agriculture field where people can come to learn anything, everything they want to about cell agriculture, from what it is and how it works, to why the company is working on this field, to a wide range of different resources to help people understand the field. For example, we previously published the CellAgri ebook, which we updated during the summer of 2022 to be an in-depth overview of the field is and how it works, an updated listing of all the different companies and players in the cell agriculture field at the back of it as well. And for new people to the ecosystem who found something like an ebook too long to read, we also have a primer email course as well to help someone learn about the field before jumping further into it, like a long read like the CellAgri ebook. Other resources we have on the CellAgri website include the first job board dedicated to the cell agriculture ecosystem, where companies are sharing postings of how to join the ecosystem. So essentially from the job board email course and the ebook, one of the goals CellAgri has had is to create essentially a virtual ecosystem and community around cell agriculture. We also began hosting virtual conferences and events over COVID to help keep the wider cell agriculture field together and help different companies and players connect and share their updates with the wider ecosystem. Along with that, we also run the field newsletter that goes out every week, sharing the latest updates and insights on what's happening in the cell agriculture field, from company updates to the latest announcements. That's a bit of a quick overview of CellAgri and the work that we do. In terms of the insights side of the platform, we publish reports breaking down some of the different data points that CellAgri has collected over the years. For example, we have an investment report series that breaks down how, as of earlier this year, there's now $4 billion invested in the cell agriculture food ecosystem, and as well as a report series breaking down how to develop a supply chain from lab scale all the way to commercial scale of cell-based meat, which we're all currently updating right now.
Wow, that's quite a lot. Very impressive.
Appreciate that.
I'm curious to know, what really inspired you to start CellAgri?
This could be a good way to share how I also learned about the field in the first place. Would that be all right, Jeffrey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So my background is in cell biology. I studied in Montreal, Quebec in Canada at McGill University. And having studied cell biology, I was really interested in exploring how I could apply what I learned in cell biology and apply that into the biotechnology industry to see how cutting edge biology could impact the real world. And as a result, I began attending different events and happened to stumble across a presentation that was called how biotechnology can save the world. Catchy title, right? But little did I realize at the time that presentation would change everything for me. I learned about this emerging field called cell agriculture and how this is going to change the future of food. And that blew my mind. With a background in cell biology, I understood how using cell culture to produce animal products like meat, leather, or even dairy and egg proteins, this field could offer major environmental sustainability implications for our food system, as well as food security. And soon after graduating, I wanted to jump right into this field, but I was having a problem at the time. There was no one-stop platform that I could learn all the latest information and updates on what was going on in this field. And that's how CellAgri began, to be that player for this ecosystem.
It's weird how life has certain moments that will influence the rest of your career. And I guess for you, it was that presentation on how biotechnology can save the world. At the time when you first started CellAgri, did you envision that it would grow to what it is today? Or is it more of a side project that you want to do and still want to pursue a career in the cellular agriculture industry?
Good question. When I first began writing about cell agriculture, I wasn't exactly sure how big this could grow. One of the challenges I initially had back in 2017, the cell agriculture field was pretty much new entirely. So you did not know what you did not know. So, for example, I think I was initially questioning whether I was even too late to enter the field at the time back in 2017. Hindsight is everything, right? But I think after speaking to a lot of different players in the ecosystem back then who heard about CellAgri and my writing, it was clear that there was a big need for a platform like CellAgri that could help communicate what was going on in the field and share the latest updates to the ecosystem through our newsletter and other writings. So that's when I realized CellAgri could be something I could go deeper into and pursued that.
Okay. And what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced when you started CellAgri?
Yeah, great question. One of the key challenges was you did not know what you did not know at the time. And along with that, it was challenging to figure out exactly what the agriculture field needed. Fortunately, I was in touch with quite a few different players from the agriculture field who saw that CellAgri could that communication and information gap in the field and help people understand not just what this field is, but why does it even matter. And fortunately, we've been able to help people understand the field and continue to do so.
Okay. What does your day-to-day look like?
So as a news and marketing platform, and based on the time of the quarter, my time usually breaks down into, in one category, research and writing, but then the other hand, a lot of communication. So as a marketing platform, I just spend a lot of time researching what's going on in the wider cell agriculture field. This helps me keep all the different subscribers up to date with what's going on through the CellAgri newsletter. Research also goes into help build out different resources for the ecosystem and make sure they stay updated. And along with that research, a lot of time goes into writing that as well, whether that's updating past pieces or creating new ones. And we just spend a lot of time communicating and meeting different people, whether that's online or in person through different events going on these days. For example, whether companies in the ecosystem who want to share an update with what's going on in their work, or a brand new player looking to understand what the field is and how they could help grow it. Essentially, do those things.
Right, I see. So I guess you get to touch on a lot of different things, which maybe makes your day-to-day not so mundane. It's more variable.
Exactly. It's quite cool that way. So sometimes you're focusing on building a new report or tool, for example, and you're focusing, let's say, quite a bit of time on that. And later on that month, or even that quarter, it's a lot of communicating, meeting new people. Every week, fortunately, is quite different, makes it quite exciting, and always something new around the corner.
Mm-hmm. So what do you enjoy the most about the work that you do?
Working at CellAgri, because you're always behind the computer screen, it's sometimes challenging to know whether people are seeing your work and what impact it can have. One of the most rewarding parts of meeting people in the field, whether through just meeting them online or in person, is receiving feedback on how sometimes CellAgri has helped them on their journey to look into the field and ultimately take that leap and jump into the field themselves, either on the nonprofit side or joining a company. And when you're a platform and you hear feedback like that, this really inspires you to keep on growing. And also love the idea that since working on the laptop as well, it makes travel quite accessible to attend different conferences and meet different people from all over.
Yeah, I totally get that. And it can be very inspiring and motivating to physically see the impact of work that you're doing and getting that positive feedback.
Absolutely.
And what about your least favorite thing about what you do?
Oh, least favorite. I would say this is more of a good problem to have. When CellAgri began in the early days, the whole field was primarily based on a handful of companies in the San Francisco Bay Area. So it was relatively easier to keep up to date with what was going on in the field. Fast forward to today, they're all over the world, companies, entrepreneurs, and scientists showcasing their skills and making cell agriculture products all around the world to change our future food system. It's a good problem to have that it's hard to keep up to date with everything that's going on, which is, in the bigger picture, really good for the field. It shows that the field is really growing all around the world, and you spend a lot of time to stay up to date on everything that's going on.
Right, that makes sense. So you had more of a STEM background, but now you're doing more market research. So how do you feel that your educational background has helped you, if at all, into what you're doing right now?
I don't think anyone has asked me that before, but my education background is both cell biology and also political science. Bit of a unique combination, but that actually has helped me quite a bit. On the cell biologist viewpoint, it helped me first discover the cell agriculture field and understand what different startups, different companies, and different researchers are working on to understand why they're doing what they are doing. And with a minor in political science, it helps you understand the bigger picture of what's going on. And also, if you do study politics, you spend quite a lot of time writing and communicating what you're reading and try to make it as simple and easy to understand as possible. So a combination of that background really makes up what I do at CellAgri, understanding the science behind what companies are doing, trying to explain to people why these certain scientific ideas are important and vital for the field's future, and trying to break that down, essentially breaking down where cell biology meets the food space through writing about it. So that background combination really has helped me quite a bit in the role I do now in terms of understanding the science and also being able to write and try to communicate that as best as I can to our audiences to help understand what this field is.
Right, yeah, I guess there is a little bit more overlap than one would initially think of between cell biology and political science compared to what you're doing now. So it kind of goes to show that there's a lot of transferable skills from a variety of different areas that you can use to help you do something completely different.
It really is. I mean, when anyone's working in any novel field, whether that's in the food space like cell agriculture or any other novel technology, the idea of communication is going to be really important. And whether you can communicate that verbally, in writing, or in any other way, being able to communicate how that technology works is going to be really important to help people understand not just what you're doing, but the big picture of why. Why are you working on this field?
Yeah, and communication is absolutely key for cellular agriculture because there is so much confusion and misunderstanding about how it works, and a lot of people just don't really know from pure lack of knowledge of the technology.
Absolutely. Context is everything. And with food, it matters so much more. You have to explain to people not just what companies are doing this field or the science behind it, but explaining that why. Why are scientists and startups looking to reinvent animal products that I like so dearly? And then when you explain that to them, making animal products this way could be more sustainable, could have some public health implications as well as food security. People then start to understand, all right, this is why people are doing that. That communication aspect is so key to make people understand what's going on and then eventually possibly help them come on board for novel technologies as well.
Yeah, so true. How are we able to make CellAgri more than just a side project and into a full-time career?
Appreciate that question, Jeffrey. When CellAgri first began, that was one of the key questions you had about understanding how can you position a platform like CellAgri into business moving forward. When CellAgri first began, I worked on it as a side project. I had a full-time job at the time in Toronto working as an analyst at a venture capital firm. And that was a great experience for me because it helped me understand a lot more about how to analyze a novel ecosystem, understand what insights people are looking to understand, and apply that into a novel technology and novel space like cell agriculture. Come the start of 2019, I went full time into CellAgri and began applying those lessons and those key interests I learned people are looking for novel technologies, from how it works and different analyses that people are looking to understand. And so in that regard, CellAgri just grew to become one of the main platforms right now for where people are looking to position themselves within the ecosystem, as well as look to understand the latest insights through the field.
Ah, I see. And how do you see CellAgri growing, and where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
Ooh, I like that question. For at least for the future of cell agri, I want to build out the platform for everything about cell agriculture. When someone wants to understand anything about this novel field, from what products are currently out there, what even is this field, what are the latest insights, reports, analyses on this field, or even opportunities to join it, I want cell agri to be that one-stop platform for everything, where people can come to understand everything they want to about the field. And that's currently what I'm working on for the future of CellAgri.
Awesome. And you foresee yourself continuing to do this in the future?
That's right. There's still a way to field to grow, and I want to take CellAgri on that journey.
Right. And are you hoping to expand CellAgri to maybe a broader team? Because, if I recall correctly, it's just you working on it right now?
Right. CellAgri is a team of one right now. We do work a lot with outside designers and developers as well to help us along the way when we need it. But full time, I work on CellAgri on the day to day. Perhaps in the future, as the field continues to grow and it becomes a bit too much for me just to keep up by myself, definitely open to that.
All right. Glad to hear that. And maybe one of our listeners will join your organization one day. So, what advice do you have for job seekers in the alternative protein space?
For listeners who are still students or just early on in their careers, there are lots of incredible resources out there to help you understand what's going on. One resource that I would like to highlight is a tool called Pathways by Cellular Agriculture Australia, which is a nonprofit advocating for the field in Australia. They made this fantastic resource called the Pathway Tools, which is designed to help students and early professionals explore opportunities within the future food sector. And what's really cool about a tool like that is that students explore how they can apply what they're currently studying within their major and how that can be applied to the broader future food movement. For example, people generally think that you need to have a background in the STEM field, whether that's engineering or science or technology, to join the alternative protein space or the cell agriculture space. That's no longer the case. Sure, when a company is just getting started and they're early on, their team is primarily scientists or engineers to build from the ground up. Once the company starts to grow, they'll need a whole range of people with different skill sets, from communications to marketing and design to sales and other business development management. And tools like Pathways from CellAg Australia help people understand what they're studying today can be applied to the future food field of tomorrow. And similar tools modeled off of Pathway include a tool by the Cellular Agriculture Institute of the Commons in Japan, made a version of that tool in Japanese to help students in Japan understand how they can apply what they're studying into the protein space and future food field of tomorrow. And also Cellular Agriculture Canada were inspired by Cellular Agriculture Australia to make their own version of that tool looking into Canada. That's a great resource to help someone understand what they're looking for in terms of what their interests are or what they're currently studying and how that can be applied to the space. But in terms of other resources out there, the CellAgri Job Board was one of the first platforms highlighting job opportunities specifically in the cell agriculture field. And there are a whole range of other job boards run by nonprofits and other players in this wider future food field, highlighting opportunities to get involved in this space. So in terms of research out there, those are some of them I would recommend. But there, honestly, as the field keeps on growing, there are a lot of incredible research out there to help people learn about this field. Podcasts, for example, helping interviewing people from different aspects of the future food field will help people realize there's so much out there that they may not have realized before when it comes to alternative proteins and the wider future food sector. If I had to give any other advice as well is alternative proteins and future food space is really exciting, but that is just one part of the future of sustainability. There are a growing number of players looking at wide applications of not just cell culture technology, but of sustainable materials that are going beyond just food. For example, looking to biomaterials, looking to textiles, or even other novel technology applications. For example, harnessing plants as a platform for alternative food production is just getting started. That definitely are worth exploring.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very vast field and is constantly growing and evolving.
Absolutely.
So, is there anything else that you'd like to add or would like to discuss?
Sure. If you're still a student interested in the cellular agriculture or any of these wider future of food or future of sustainability fields, one thing I learned later than I should have is start attending events at your school, your university, or your college. Not only will you possibly get a free meal from it, and if you're a student, let's be real, that's enough for a reason to attend. You also learn about fields and opportunities out there that you didn't know existed. And these don't necessarily be events hosted by the university or your faculty. Student groups are always hosting events, and usually at the end of each semester are usually in need of audiences to watch those presentations. That's how I stumbled upon the cell agriculture field, and could be a way that you learn a field that you get very passionate about and find your calling in. There's so many different resources out there from universities, from events that you can just learn from. And once you find that sector, go for it.
Yeah, excellent piece of advice. And groups specifically related to alternative proteins are really starting to pop up now at a bunch of universities across the world through GFI's Alt Protein project. I think they just recently announced 20 new university groups that have started. So they're becoming more common, and check out and see if your university is one of the ones that has a group.
That's incredible. Really great to hear how that project is expanding.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've really enjoyed speaking with you today, and thank you for coming on the show and sharing your insights and experiences into the cellular agriculture field.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for having me. It was great to share some insights about how more people can get into the future food space. If anyone has any questions specifically about the cell agriculture field, please feel free to reach out to me to learn more about CellAgri and the work that we do on the CellAgri website, which is www.cell.ag. On that website, I have a contact form that goes directly to me, and I can respond to you there.
Excellent. And I'll provide a link to that in the show notes.
Appreciate that.
My goal of this episode was twofold. Firstly, to demonstrate that with enough effort and dedication, it's possible to turn your side project into a full-time career. And secondly, that you can create your own career within the alternative protein industry, since it is quite new and underexplored. As such, there is such a large potential of ways that you can contribute to the industry, which is why there's a place for everyone, including you, to be a part of the alternative protein revolution. If you want to learn more about careers in the alternative protein industry, please follow the Cultivating Careers in Alternative Protein podcast on Instagram for weekly posts about episode releases, alternative protein resources, job boards, career advice, and so much more.